I speak to you in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. One of the many privileges of being a parish priest is that sometimes I find myself at the bedside of someone who's dying. More times than not, they know that their time on earth is nearing an end. And if they are fortunate enough to live a long life, they often do what I call a life review of sorts, going over the events and people in their life that have been important and been a source of true joy. I also hear about regrets, times of loss and great sadness. But one thing I've never heard or seen engraved on a tombstone is I wish I'd spent more time at the office. When we come face to face with the reality of our own death, our mortality, something shifts within us. Maybe it's dealing with the aches and pains of our aging bodies, seeing more and more of our friends die, ending a marriage, receiving a dreaded diagnosis, or maybe having narrowly escaped a horrific accident. No matter the reason, like a cartoon that shows a light bulb going off above our heads, it suddenly becomes crystal clear what is truly important in life and what is not. Along with this clarity of vision, maybe a gnawing awareness that we are missing the very things that make this life we have been given so precious. As you have often heard, life is not a dress rehearsal. Make it count. Today's gospel reading from Luke brings this most vital lesson home. However, it is so easy to miss. We hear this charming, deceptively simple story of Mary and Martha and how their dinner party goes somewhat awry. And it is so easy to pit sister against sister, assuming that the more contemplative life provided by Mary is valued over the active life represented by Martha. But I don't think that is what Jesus is talking about. He reminds us that there is something much more at stake. Jesus is on his final journey to Jerusalem. He knows that death awaits him when he arrives. So is their sense of urgency. There is no time to waste. Time is precious. Jesus and his friends come by for a shared meal as they're continuing on their way. And Martha plays the host to their dinner guest, as is the custom of hospitality in first century Palestine. She is a busy, task-oriented type A sister without question. So she retreats to the kitchen to prepare the various dishes as she loudly bangs the pots and pans and scurries about with her apron strings flying. Then there is Mary. Mary is a dreamer, full of wonder and curiosity about life and the world. She is absolutely no help. We find Mary not in the kitchen, as would be the custom, but instead she is seated at the foot of Jesus, the revered guest and good friend. Since the moment Jesus and his disciples had entered into their modest home, Mary has been absolutely mesmerized by this wise and charismatic teacher, and she hangs on his every word. However, things are not going so well in the kitchen. As the heat soars, so does Martha's temper. With her hands on her hips and her hair all frazzled, she marches over to Jesus, her face flushed from the steam of the boiling pots, and pleads him to tell her sister to help her. It is an understatement to say this is a very awkward moment. She is asking the guest to order one of his hosts to go back into the kitchen to make dinner. But Jesus does not respond as Martha expects. Instead, With a slight smile, Jesus gently calls her by name. Martha, Martha, you are worried and distracted by many things. There is only one thing. Mary has chosen the better part, which will not be taken away from her. It helps to note that the root meaning of the word worry is strangle, to seize by the throat and tear. And the root meaning of the word distraction is separation, a dragging, a pulling apart of something that should be whole. In other words, to worry and be distracted reveals a wounded and fragmented soul. It is a state of mind that can tear us apart, as if we are falling to pieces or falling apart. Something I know something about, and I imagine you do too. So Jesus sees this frazzled, fragmented state that Martha is in, but he is not chastising her for all her busyness and praising Mary for her more contemplative nature. Instead, Jesus is inviting Martha to take off her apron, put down that soup ladle, and leave all the preparations for dinner behind for now, and to join them, to take her place alongside Mary. Jesus, in a most loving, compassionate way, is telling Martha that something more important is going on right now, at this moment, and it will not wait. There is only one thing she needs to focus on, and that is Jesus. I think Mary intuits this sense of focus and urgency, which is why she abandoned her place of life alongside Martha in the kitchen as soon as she saw Jesus walk through that door. This story of Mary and Martha is about being truly present in the moment. It calls us to pay attention. It's about our yearning to be with God, to be the one with God, the one God. And Jesus shows us the way. By his life and his death, he reveals God in the flesh to us. And he shows us the deepest truth, that we are made of God. As Paul said in his letter today, Jesus is the image of the invisible God, the cosmic Christ. Through sheer grace, God's love is freely given to each one of us so that we are able to reconnect with God, be reconciled with God, and embrace our true nature as a child of God. This is when we experience that deep peace that passes all understanding, that is at the very core of our being. Even when the world seems crazy and whirling out of control all around us, as it does these days, we can take comfort in knowing that Christ dwells within us and around us, and that's where we find that deep peace. Mary experiences this as she sits at Jesus' feet, knowing that this moment with Jesus is sacred. It is the one true thing in the whole world that matters right now. And this experience will sustain her in the days, the months, and the years ahead, long after Jesus is crucified, buried, and resurrected. Jesus invites us to put down that soup ladle, our iPhone, our never-ending to-do list, our overscheduled calendars, our financial worries, our health worries, our concerns about our children, our grandchildren, our aging parents. Whatever it is that distracts you and causes you to worry and threatens to tear you apart, lay it aside for now, for just a moment, and be focused on just one thing: the Christ that dwells within you. Just as Jesus calls Martha by name, imagine for a moment Jesus calling you by name with the same love and compassion. He knows you are worried and distracted by many things. So come and sit down with him a while. And when you do, by the grace of God, you will experience that inner core of deep peace within as a beloved child of God, because that's who you truly are, God's beloved. Amen.